I've spoken to people in Monaco, I've spoken to people in the UK, I've spoken to people in the United States. Really big hitters. They're very wealthy individuals. They want to make a contribution and they're serious. If it's got to be a hostile bid, let's table it and say, look, you wouldn't need to take money out of Manchester United, and obviously that would be a perfect solution. Yeah, my own people are sending messages to his people, so hopefully we may see some movement. Fingers crossed on that front, John.
Coming up, the full update from Michael Knighton in the search for a consortium to buy Manchester United Football Club. I also asked him about Graeme Souness and this outlandish claim from Scotland's most embarrassing pundit. I went to bed thinking I was going to be the next manager of Man United, claims Souness, adding provocatively, that would have gone down well, wouldn't it? Fake news at its finest, as we'll hear later. Michael, it's great to be back, and we did a video a couple of weeks ago about you possibly getting a consortium together to buy Manchester United, and the response has been absolutely phenomenal. Tell me, what's the update?
Do you know, John, the response has been truly astonishing, and it simply goes to show just the depth of feeling about the current ownership and how desperate people are for regime change. I must tell you, I've been quite astonished and surprised. I knew there would be some response. I didn't know that it would come in as a tsunami-like response. It's been truly fantastic, and all credit to the fans because they've been polite and civil and said, yes, we have to have change, because everyone's lost confidence in the current ownership to restore the greatest football club in the world to its rightful place. And people are now very serious about the need for a Jim Ratcliffe or for a consortium to come together in a civilised, diplomatic, professional way, being totally, as we said before, commercially proper, and say, look, we have the overwhelming majority of fans on the side of our own desire now to see new ownership. We'd like to do it properly. Here is the funding. Here is the proof of funding. And we carry literally the worldwide support of the Manchester United Brotherhood with us. So it's as good as that, John. It's been fantastic. I've spoken to people in Monaco. I've spoken to people in the UK. I've spoken to people in the United States. Really big hitters. I have to tell you, they are people I'm not on, certainly not at their level. These are billionaires. And whilst, other than a Jim Ratcliffe, you know, there are very few people on the planet who could write a cheque for £5 and a bit billion. But the people that I've spoken to, they're very wealthy individuals. They want to make a contribution and they're serious. It's very exciting, and I'm very proud to say that it's going very well.
And since we spoke, of course, the Chelsea deal has gone through. It's been rubber stamped. So that potentially brings Sir Jim Ratcliffe back into play. I know he's not got back to us yet, but how hard is it to find a Jim Ratcliffe?
It's next to impossible is the short answer, in the sense that there are not many Jim Ratcliffes on the planet. Jim is exceedingly wealthy, all down to his brilliance as a commercial operator. He's got a fabulous company. He is literally the global leader, really, in petrochemical industries. And he's a genuine businessman in the sense that he's a genuine football fan. He wouldn't need to take money out of Manchester United, and obviously that would be a perfect solution to all our issues over the current ownership if we could just persuade Jim Ratcliffe and his people to step forward and say, yeah, we did bid for Chelsea, our bid was unsuccessful, and the only reason it was unsuccessful because it was tabled really well beyond the deadline. So yeah, my own people are sending messages to his people, so hopefully we may see some movement. Fingers crossed on that front, John.
One of the things that's really come across from the comments is the fans really love you, Michael Knighton, because you are a former football player. You come from a football background. They saw you at Old Trafford on the Stretford end. They know you love the football club. How important is it for you to try and pull together a consortium of people, of like-minded people who do love Manchester United?
It's essential, John. You have to have genuine football people, genuine football fans. Obviously, they must have the other skill set of commercial nous, commercial management, commercial excellence. Of course they must. Look, Manchester United is a very big commercial operation. It's a big company. You need the highest standard of commercial excellence to run a business like that. But that skill set needs to be married to the love of football, the understanding of what Manchester United means to the whole of the world, what Manchester United means to we Manchester United fans. These are the people that you need running Manchester United, and also people that don't need to fund their other businesses or withdraw quite significant dividends on their shareholding or to service their debt. And, this has always been a quite legitimate criticism of the current ownership. They did bring a lot of debt to Old Trafford. The stadium is in a state of disrepair in the sense that it's falling behind. And Manchester United shouldn't be falling behind any football club, certainly not in the United Kingdom, and certainly not in the world, in my view. So these criticisms are legitimate. As I said earlier, I have nothing against the Glazer family personally. This is not a personal issue, but I am concerned that Manchester United is not being managed and pushed forward in the correct manner. And we all know that. Look, we're a pale shadow of where we should be. So let's press on, see if we can muster up £5 billion to secure the ownership of Manchester United.
As you've already indicated, if we don't have a super rich billionaire who can buy Manchester United outright, it's not easy to put together a package where you're finding businessmen who can contribute the total of, say, £5 billion together. But it does seem at the moment that we've got the new manager come in, but the football club has lost value on the shares. It does feel like now is actually an opportune moment to try and take hold of the football club.
That's absolutely true. There's no question that the high gloss and polish has been tarnished. There's no question, because the performance on the field simply hasn't been there now for the last few years. We haven't been picking up the sort of silverware that we've been used to under the great Sir Alex Ferguson years. And those glory years need to be restored. Manchester United will always hold its magic because it's Manchester United. But you're right, John. How long for? You can't go another 4 seasons or 5 seasons simply underperforming. So this is the time for change. I don't think we're going to restore Manchester United to greatness under this current ownership. I've said before, I'll say it again, I'll be the first to say I was wrong if they do it. I don't think they will. They have to always service this debt out of club income. Can't be a way forward and good financial policy when you're serving the best part of £400 million worth of gearing in indebtedness. We never had that when I was there. We had money in the bank. We could go out and buy any player in the world. And it was run by football people who only wanted the very best for the club. And let me tell you, I'm sure Bobby Charlton, Alex Ferguson, Martin Edwards, Michael Edelstone, everyone on that board would say the quality of facility is paramount. The quality of safety and the standard is paramount for the best fans in the world. And you can't say that at the moment. The Old Trafford roof is leaking in parts. The seating needs replacing in parts. We need better communication around the ground with electronic scoreboards and so on. We've fallen behind some stadia. That is unacceptable to me, and it should be unacceptable to the current owners.
I think what I was trying to say actually was it feels like a last chance saloon for the current owners, because they've got to get it right with this manager. They've had so many failures. It does feel, in my mind, that they're actually running out of space to go. They're running out of money. They've got to find money to build a new stadium or to fix the stadium. They've got to find money to build a new team. I get the impression that even though I think Erik ten Hag is the right man for the job, they've chosen him because he's the cheaper option, and he specialises in turning cheaper players into big stars. So it doesn't feel like we've got the money now in this transfer market to go out and spend big to turn Manchester United into an overnight success.
Well, again, John, these are all legitimate concerns, legitimate criticisms and legitimate observations, because the track record proves over 16, 17 years of ownership that they haven't dipped into their own pockets and really shelled out their own finances to push Manchester United forward. They have relied on the cash flow of the business. The Manchester United brand was always going to, once it was properly established as a global brand, which happened in my time and in my reign as a board director, it was always going to attract the greatest commercial partnerships because you married that brilliant brand with the correct partners, and you don't need to worry that Manchester United will always attract fantastic commercial opportunities simply because of its brand reach globally. What people are concerned about, much of that revenue that is raised from the commercial brand, from the commercial enterprise, from the commercial partnerships, goes into servicing debt or paying dividends to the owners. You know, this is Jim Ratcliffe wouldn't do this. Jim Ratcliffe already stated publicly on not only social media platforms, but global television. He made a statement. He said, look, if we buy Chelsea, we don't need to take a penny out of the club. We earn enough from our petrochemical empire to fund this football club, to let it go on achieving, to make sure it's got a bedrock of financial stability and go out and fund players of the highest quality. We don't need to take a penny out of it for ourselves. I can't see the Glazers actually saying that. That is the difference. That's why they have fallen behind your Tottenhams, your Manchester Cities, your Liverpools. They've fallen behind them. And this is why people are concerned. This is why they want change. And as I say, the Manchester United fans, and I need to thank them all here and now, brilliant comments, brilliant messages they've sent me, lovely messages of encouragement. Thank you so much. The Brotherhood still needs to come together, though, under one umbrella. We are still fractured with various supporter groups, and we need this rallying call to bring everyone together. I don't need to be the spokesman. I'm happy to play that role. There are others who could also do it just as well as I could, if not better. So this is just a rallying call. But I'll use all my own commercial acumen, all my own experience, and certainly all my own contacts to bring this consortium together if we can't persuade or motivate the great Jim Ratcliffe to step into the breach.
That's all wonderful fighting talk, Michael. I know the fans will love to hear what you've had to say today. And I know you're going to keep us informed as things develop. We're not going to turn it into a soap opera and keep dangling little bits of information until we've got something concrete to say. But one of the reasons I've come today to see you is because the more I've got to know you, I've found out how many stories, how many fake news stories get written and targeting Michael Knighton. And we've had another one this week. I couldn't believe it when I got a phone call from you, and I could feel the steam coming out of your ears. Tell me what the latest twist is with this man that we all love to hate called Graeme Souness.
Oh dear, poor Graeme. Look, oh dear, I have the greatest respect for Mr. Graeme Souness as a football player. You know, John, you don't win 5 league championships, 4 league cups, and 3 European cups if you can't play football. The man was a superstar on the field of play, a great captain, wonderful general of the great Liverpool side back in the 80s and 90s. And of course, he captained Scotland. You don't get much better than that. So I've got the highest respect for Graeme as a football player. I can't say the same for his punditry, I have to say, because look, Graeme, he's a football man through and through, but that is what he is. He's not a businessman. He's not, as far as I know, a particularly well-educated man outside of football. And when I was informed of his comments that he was, under my watch, he was offered to replace Alex Ferguson as manager via a great guy in Scotland called Sir David Murray, who's a fabulous businessman, not quite at the Sir Jim Ratcliffe level, but brilliant businessman, very nice man indeed, who I like and I know. He claimed that Sir David had offered him the Manchester United job because he was involved or going to buy Manchester United. This is untrue. This is a nonsense. I have to tell you it's a nonsense. It's a very controversial statement. But Graeme is controversial. Look, he's got slammed today by local politician up in Scotland, Douglas Chapman, MP for Dunfermline, who's incensed by Graeme's comments that he wants Ukraine to beat Scotland tonight in the World Cup qualifier to teach Russia a lesson. Well, I wouldn't like to be next to Graeme if he's going to the match to watch the Scots play Ukraine. A very controversial statement. When he was just a kid and he went to Tottenham Hotspur, he told the great Bill Nicholson that he was the best player in the club and why wasn't he in the first team? So Graeme has an ego, quite right too. If you're going to be a great footballer, you need a bit of an ego. But I think the comments that I listened to on this platform that someone showed me, it's an egotistical statement. He says it in all seriousness, but I'm telling you now, I have never had a meeting with Graeme Souness in front of lawyers with David Murray to discuss he being manager of Manchester United or David Murray buying the football club. I've got legal documents to prove that the Bank of Scotland was backing Michael Knighton and no one else. There's no question about that. What is true is this. At the time of the bid, David very kindly invited me up to Glasgow Rangers to watch a European Cup game, which was very nice of him. And we had, of course, I was based in Edinburgh. He was based in Glasgow, but actually lived in Edinburgh. And we got on like a house on fire because he'd recently purchased Glasgow Rangers. He was enormously influential in Scotland. He did introduce me to a wonderful man, the great Sir Angus Grossart, who owned a merchant bank. That is true. And it is true that David Murray and I did discuss doing some sponsorship, unified sponsorships on a British level. Once I'd secured Manchester United, he was the owner of Glasgow Rangers, and we did talk about global sponsorship deals coming together. That is certainly true. But this is a nonsense to say, A, that David Murray was going to buy the football club. That is not true. David did introduce me to Sir Angus, and David was very helpful in that regard. And Sir Angus, and God bless him, as the book that Philip Vine wrote quotes the great Sir Angus Grossart, when he saw my business plan that I produced, when he saw the deal that I struck with Martin Edwards, the Bank of Scotland did definitely support the Michael Knighton deal, not the Graeme Souness deal. So poor Graeme is confused, or he's... Now, I've no jurisdiction if David Murray once said to him jokingly, oh, by the way, I've just had a word with Michael Knighton and he is buying Man U, you might be manager one day. Might have said it in jest. But look, I don't want to fall out with Graeme. I'm quite happy to sue the pants off him for slander because it's not true and I can prove it's not true, what he said. I can prove it.
It was on Virgin Media Sport, which I think is an Irish channel, and the clip from Graeme Souness, who's talking to the presenter, says he expected to wake up the next morning as the manager of Manchester United.
Look, Graeme loves to be in front of the camera. Graeme loves to be pushed the name of Graeme Souness. That's how he earns his money now as a TV pundit. Graeme is not. He's either very confused or he's simply not telling the truth. I never met Graeme Souness with lawyers and David Murray. That is a fact. Graeme Souness never attended any private meetings that I had with his then chairman and boss, because David owned Glasgow Rangers when he was manager. All credit to Graeme. I mean, he did very well at Glasgow Rangers. I think he won 4 championships and did extremely well. But for he to, in his wildest dreams, never mind going to bed, think he could replace Alex Ferguson, I'm sorry, Graeme. You were a brilliant footballer. I admire you so much. I've got enormous respect for you. But as a manager, I don't hold the same respect, other than your performance at Rangers, which was outstanding. It wasn't so hot at Liverpool. That's a fact. And he'd be the first to admit that, I think. But no, Graeme's got it wrong. And I was upset when I first, with a smile on my face, I was upset. I thought, has he been drinking or has he had some kind of Damascus revelation only known to he? But no, he's got that wrong. And it certainly is not true. I've got the legal documents to prove that. The name on the bid for Manchester United is Michael Knighton. It was my money, my assets, and the Bank of Scotland, because I was living in Scotland at the time. Some of my businesses were in Scotland. It was purely my deal. But yes, it is true. David became very helpful to me by introducing me to Sir Angus Grossart. There's no question about that, because Angus was very influential. And I know he did put in a good word for me when he saw my blueprint. That is true. But the rest is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Oh, God bless Graeme. Graeme, stick to playing football and talking about football. Don't stray into my territory. You see, punditry is a different skill set than the brilliance on the pitch. As everyone would acknowledge Graeme Souness to be a brilliant footballer. He was. Statistics don't lie. But he's not a brilliant businessman. And I don't think he's a brilliant pundit. I've got to be honest. I don't think he's a brilliant pundit. I think he can be pompous. I think he's a bit arrogant. And he's controversial, just like he was on the field of play. So, but those skills don't always transmute so well into punditry. But look, I don't want to fall out with Graeme, but he did upset me by those comments. I can disprove them legally. I've got the documentation to prove it. So he better be careful. So if he comes back and says otherwise, Graeme, I'm warning you now, I will be annoyed, and he'll be getting a visit from me, and I'll say, what's going on here? But look, God bless him. I like him as a person. I've met him a few times. I like him as a person, but I've never met him in front of lawyers with David Murray. That is a fact.
I'd like to weigh in by saying perhaps it's a sign that even though he played for Liverpool and Scotland, he realises that Manchester United is the biggest football club on the planet. He likes to make himself unpopular with Manchester United fans, and it is kind of ironic that we're talking about Graeme Souness, because today it was announced that Paul Pogba, it was confirmed by the football club that Paul Pogba is leaving Manchester United at the end of his contract this month. And of course, Graeme Souness loves to hate Paul Pogba.
Look, Graeme is Graeme. There'll be a mischievous tone in what he says. As I say, I have enormous respect for him as a football player. There's no question about that. Punditry and these absurd comments he came out with just the other day or today are just a nonsense, a complete nonsense. But yeah, he does like to wind people up. I mean, that's what he did on the football field, part of his skill set. But as I said 5 minutes ago, these skill sets don't transmute when you're talking about serious stuffs, which are important. And people listen to what, because he carries some influence. But anyone who's got half a brain will say, hang on, why would David Moore be wanting to buy Man United when he owns Glasgow Rangers? I mean, Glasgow Rangers has a very similar following worldwide to Manchester United. That's why we did tentatively talk about global sponsorship in a unified way, totally separate and totally independently. But we did talk about that. That is true. And perhaps he's got that mixed up with something. Poor man, poor man. He should just stick to football and keep his nose out of business, because he's not a businessman.
That, of course, brings us full circle to what we started off talking about and the value of Manchester United. And I know you're going to try and make some progress over the coming days and weeks. And can you give us any kind of indication of timescale? I know that you probably said that these things take a long time, but you're obviously encouraged by what's happened so far. Just to wrap up the final statement.
Yes, the encouragement's been fantastic, way beyond my wildest expectation. But yeah, the time frame, very difficult to put a time frame on it. Look, anyone trying to raise, even Musk has struggled to raise his bid a lot more than 5 billion, but it's in the billions for to trying to purchase Twitter. And even he's had some difficulty to raise £5 billion plus in this climate with what's going on in the world is a pretty tall order. But I'm doing my best. That's all I can do. I'm trying to rally the troops. I'm trying to bring together the Manchester Brotherhood under one fan voice, then find a few consortia who are big hitters to say, yeah, we can muster up the £5 billion. If it's got to be a hostile bid, let's table it and say, look, the fans are unhappy. We're very disappointed with the current ownership and the regime and how the stadium is looking, and the performance on the field has been, let's be frank, incredibly disappointing. So the message is keep this momentum going. Time frame wise, I can't put a time frame on it, John. I reckon I've got well over £1 billion pledged, but they're only pledges. Do you know, it's funny, I was speaking to an incredibly wealthy individual I've known for a long time, and he laughed when I said, look, you can throw £500 million in, you won't miss it. He said, this is serious money. And even he couldn't contemplate bidding for Manchester United. Only the likes of Jack Ma, Elon Musk, the great Sir Jim Ratcliffe, you're at that level. They're the individuals. Or some, well, we don't want a sovereign fund owning our club. We want a Sir Jim Ratcliffe. That's the answer. Or someone similar, or a group of mini Jim Ratcliffes, all football fans, all with the right motivation, all with the right intentions to make Manchester United the greatest club in the world once again.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Michael Knighton, once again.
Pleasure. God bless you all.